and water will come out from them. وَإِنَّ مِنْهَا لَمَا يَشَّقَّقُ فَيَخْرُجُ مِنْهُ الْمَاءُ وَإِنَّ مِنْهَا لَمَا يَخْبِطُ مِنْ خَشْيَةِ اللَّهِ. So indeed, there are some that falls down with fear of Allah. Allah is not unaware of what you are doing. And, as I always keep telling, right, this is about Musa alayhi Islam's people, but why is Allah telling us all these things? To check ourselves whether we are like that. We must often check with our own hearts how we are treating other people, how we are with people who are below our level, our servants, or people who come to work with us, or if you are in an institute, how you are with people who bring you a cup of tea or who cleans the toilet and things like that. So you have to recognize that in Islam, it's unlike any other religion. Every human being is equal, irrespective of what your status in the society is. So that is now here Allah is of course talking about when qasat qulubukum is in obeying Allah. Now in our situation we have to also think about how obedient or humble or recognize our inabilities and our sins in such a way that so that we'll be all the time, always, without exception, always be humble enough to seek Allah's forgiveness even more and thank Allah. But it's not only whether they are servants or people below you, in everything, how hardened your heart becomes. The more you fear Allah, the more you recognize Allah's true form in the sense, not necessarily the appearance of it, but I mean Allah's ability, Allah's sifat, His qualities. You will become so humbled, and like Umar radiallahu anhu used to say, I told you all earlier also, Umar radiallahu anhu had such lofty position in Islam. Rasulullah said, if there is going to be there won't be a prophet after me, but if there is going to be a prophet after me, it will be Umar. He was Asharatul Mubashara. He was given the glad tidings that he will be entering the heaven. He was Amirul Mu'minin, the second Amirul Mu'minin, second Khalifa. And Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when he walks on the road, the shaitan gets scared and runs to the next road. It doesn't come walk on the road where Umar radiallahu anhu is working. And fifthly, some of the verses that he just mentioned to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, why isn't this, why don't we, or why doesn't Allah say this and so on, exactly those words were mentioned in the Quran. So like Rasulullah said, Allah's words are dancing on Umar's tongue, in the sense when he says something, Allah accepts them totally. Such a high lofty position, but he was so scared of death, of what will happen to him, whether he will be considered as a munafiq even, subhanallah, can you believe it? You know that Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to confide certain things with Hudayfa radiallahu anhu. So Hudayfa radiallahu anhu was the only one who knew who were the munafiqs in that community. So it is said that after Rasulullah died, when somebody dies, people will watch to see whether Hudayfa is going for that funeral. If he doesn't go, they'll also slowly just avoid it and go, because they know that if he doesn't know that this person most likely to be one of the munafiqs. But Umar radiallahu anhu, with all these qualities with him, he went and asked Hudayfa radiallahu anhu, please tell me whether I am in that list. Subhanallah. If we are in that lofty position, Amirul Mu'min or Asharat al-Mubashara, would we even consider ourselves to be munafiq? But we could be. In spite of any position in the world, we could be munafiqs, we could be sinners, we could be the inhabitants of hell. We don't know. We never know. Until the death actually reaches us, we'll never know. Because Rasulullah said, your position depends on what you do last. What it means is, until the last minute, you also have a chance to do tawbah and turn to Allah and then get away from the hell, or you also may commit something sinful and then Allah might put you into hell in spite of the fact that you have been doing so good. So that's why whenever he looks at a bird, he used to say, oh, I wish I had been born as a bird. Or he'll look at the sand on the floor and say, I wish I have been born only as a piece of sand, wouldn't have been tested so much, and he was so scared about the akhirah. Now we are so far away from them because our hearts had hardened. Because we don't know really what they felt. I often wonder when I think about Abu Bakr who could never recite the Quran without crying, so much so that his beard will get wet. And I often wonder what was going in their heart. Now, even if we try to do the best and the correct things and do tawbah and do shukr all the time and all the time being aware of, what's right and wrong and all, that sort of fear never comes to us, at least not to me. So I keep thinking there's something, defective in us. Is it because our hearts are so hard? Because we all, they lived with Rasulullah and therefore they knew the actual sense of the qadr and the hell and heaven and so on. And therefore they feared for the akhirah so much. We are so far away and we don't. And but like these people, after seeing Allah make a man come alive in front of their own eyes, and that man tells who killed him. I mean, what more do you want as a sign? After seeing that, even after that, their hearts became hardened, and so much so that Allah is saying it was harder than any of the stones. Even in the stones, Allah is saying there will be some which will open up so that streams will come forth from them, and there are some that the split up and then water will come, and there are some that will drown in the water because of fear of Allah. But are we having that fear? What is it that is keeping us away from achieving that fear? Right? Of course, there are two things. One is not really knowing the qualities of Allah. If you really know the qualities of Allah, it is so terrifying. The second thing, of course, what Rasulullah said, Vahan. Vahan is the word, this word is dunya, keeps us so involved and so occupying our mind all the time, we forget to think about our akhirah. So we have to come to that level where we start at least wondering, why am I not scared? Am I sure that I will go to heaven? Can any of us in this world now, can any of us ever be sure that you will go to heaven? No, you can't. Because Rasulullah said there will be some people who will do so much of good. There will be a handspan between him and the heaven. And then either he will say something or a word that he said in his lifetime. One word, that's what Rasulullah said. One word he said in his lifetime will overtake all the goodness, and that word, even he wouldn't know what that word was. But that word that made him such a big sinner in front of Allah. But in the eyes of Allah, that word could be so heavy that Allah will put him headlong into the hell, into the hell. A person who was handspan away from the heaven. So you can never be sure. We don't know what is in store for us. And vice versa. Also, Allah said there will be some people who would have done so much of sin. And there will be a handspan between them and the hell. In the sense, if they happen to die at that second, that will be hell. But one word that they said or say at that time will overtake all that, and Allah will forgive all their sins and give them heaven. Where are we? Which status are we going to be? We don't know. So we have to be aware, and we have to know till the last second, till the ruh reaches our throat, we will never know where we are. So we have to be vigilant all the time. Most of the thing we have to recognize is this qaswa. That is qaswatul qulub, that your heart's being hardened. Check yourself, how you treat people, how you are with people, whether you are the same in public and and in secret. There's a beautiful story about Umar radiallahu anhu. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu wanted to elect Umar radiallahu anhu because Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was sick during his last 4-5 days, and he knew he was going to die. And he called various sahabas and asked them about Umar radiallahu anhu. What do you think about him? I'm thinking of electing him as the next Khalifa. Various people said various things. Some people said, no, he's too harsh on people. For anything and everything, he will jump at people, and he always carries this, what do you call that? With which they drive the animals, and he will hit people with them. So some people said he is too harsh. But one person said, I think it was Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, I think, he said, he is the ideal person because I know that whatever he does in public is exactly what he does in private. So check yourself, would you be the same? If you have a chance to do a sin where you're 100% sure that nobody will know, nobody will ever find out, and nobody will ever question you, and you can get away with it, will you do it? Or will you remember Allah? Will you know that, even if nobody looks at me, Allah is watching? So this is not for somebody else to judge you. It is for yourself to judge you. You have to ask all the time, am I fearing Allah all the time? So this is one way of finding out. The second thing is whether you treat people, whether they are rich or poor, or whether they have a high status or low status, or whether they are dependent on you, or you are dependent on them, whether you treat them same way. Of course, you don't give the same respect to, say, the postman, what you give for your boss. There are certain things that you don't do, and if you do that, even the peon will feel uncomfortable. That's also there, because Rasulullah showed that also. That's beautiful, There isn't anything that Rasulullah has left behind. He will treat the really poor person and a really rich person, everybody the same. On the other hand, certain situations he treated them differently. For example, Rasulullah was seated in the majlis one day, and then a very poor person came. And he came asking, obviously, for some help. Then Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he came to the entrance, and Rasulullah said, oh, give him something and send him away. Right? And then they did. Then there was another person who came who had been very well off earlier, but now he had fallen down in life. He also had come asking for some help. Rasulullah knew he had come asking for help. Rasulullah asked him to come inside and then asked him to sit next to him and then spoke to him, how are you, how is your family and things like that, inquired about it. And then asked, okay, well, is there something I can do? And then he said, yeah, I need the help. And then Rasulullah said, can anybody help? And got the help. So when he went away, now Sahabas wanted to find out how come that he's treating different people differently. That's also the wisdom of a leader. Now he said, if that beggar, he's used to begging at all the time. Mute if he's a person who is begging at this thing, and he has to go to serve many other houses and beg and so on. If I told him to come and sit next to me and talk to him, he will feel embarrassed, and he would not. He's not used to that. He is a regular miskin, and he will always be like that for the moment, at least at the time Rasulullah saw him, and he said, that's the way that we have always treated him, so you should do that. But the other person, when he was well off, now we used to bring him into the majlis and speak to him and treat him very well and all. Just because he had fallen down now, you should not treat them like beggars now. So this is also there. See the balance. That's a beautiful balance that Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam showed. So you have to know whom to treat, which way, what way. But if your heart is hardened, right, suddenly, somebody you knew had been doing very well, and now suddenly they have fallen in life, and with Corona and the floods and so on, you definitely find many people like that. Beware that, you cannot treat them like, lowly people, right? Because they deserve the respect they always had. This is incidental. We don't know when tomorrow, we could be in that position if we treat people like that. So we have to know whom to treat what. Now, all these things happen depending on how hard your heart is. And it is also said, hearts harden because of certain incidences that happen in your life, your experiences. So your heart is, depending on your intentions and your taqwa and your knowledge of Allah, with all this, your hearts are like one of the two. One is, just a minute, very urgent call. Hello? Yeah, oh. Sorry? Oh. 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 But, okay, right. It will also. Oh, sorry. So beware of how you are going to treat people who are now in a lowly state. And if Allah had blessed you in such a way that you are in a better position, treat them in a way that they feel comfortable. So it is up to you really to assess everybody. And also when they are very, very affected by various things, you have to be even more careful. As I was going to say, what happens, how does your heart get this kaswa? It is said your heart is like either like an egg or like a potato. If you boil a potato and an egg in the same kettle, you boil them and take them out, the potato, which was hard earlier, will become soft and nice and tasty and so on. The egg, which was fluid inside but hard outside, whichever way it is, and it will become totally hard. So whenever trouble touches you, how you turn it into your personality depends on your character. So you have to really think, okay, if something bad happened to me, that doesn't mean I have to make everybody else also go through the same problem. Rather, you must say, my God, it was so horrible, so difficult for me. I don't want anybody to go through that particular experience. I want to go through, I want everybody to be happier. And if I can prevent anybody going through the problem that I went through, sorry about this, I'm so sorry. Hello? Yeah. Oh. அதில் நீங்க 2 பேக்கெட் எடுத்துட்டு வாங்களே இப்ப. அதுல கலர் இல்லையே. அது Jazakallah khairan for muting me. You know, somebody is doing my marketing, and as I answer, I will not get the food items from my home. That's why he is calling. Sorry about that. Okay, so you have to ask yourself the tribulations and the troubles that you went through. Has it made you into a hard-boiled egg, or has it made you into a nicely boiled potato? We have to become a potato in the sense our heart should melt for other people's, and we should always feel their pain, and we would want to remove their pain. That's on one side. The other side is, of course, about the fear of Allah. The more you see Allah's rahmat and blessings and the forgiveness in your life, you should become much more humble, much more obliging, not only to Allah, even to other people and so on. If Allah had blessed you, you see other people are not as blessed as you, you should not get into this ashadu qaswa status where you feel very proud and high and mighty and then treat other people lowly. Rather, you should be even more obliging to Allah, obeying His rules and regulations, asking forgiveness and shukr. Those are the two things always remember: asking forgiveness and doing shukr. Every single day, in every prayer, remember to do that. Right? I taught you all some Quranic verses which if you keep reciting them, then automatically these things will be there. One is Rabbi Auzi'ni an ashkura ni'mataka allati an'amta alayya wa ala walidayya. That is Sulaiman alayhi salam's dua. Ya Allah, make me, enable me to thank you for the rahmat that you have blessed with for me and for my parents and so on. Right? That is, remember that particular one, and that's the same dua Allah says when everybody becomes 40, you should ask, but you don't have to wait for 40 to ask that dua. So you can ask that dua. That is, we are all the time in a mood of gratitude. Your attitude should be that of gratitude to Allah all the time. without exception, in trouble and in happiness, right? Whatever happens, you should have this gratitude. Then, of course, asking tawbah, get used to a few tawbah verses. Allahumma afirli wali walidayya walil mu'minina yawma yaqumul hisab. That is a encompassing dua. Ya Allah, forgive me and my parents and all the mu'mins. Right? That's when you ask like that, the number of movements in the world at that time, that amount of thawab will be written for you. So it's double thing. One is you're asking for tawbah and you're also getting thawab from Allah for just remembering the rest of the moment. So like this, always have meanings very clear in your mind when you're asking the dua, and ask dua, ask tawbah or thankfulness, all these things. Beware of the duas that you are asking, know the meaning, and when you are reciting, think of them so that your heart will never become hard, because you are all the time aware of being Allah, right? So hopefully Allah will give us that, right? Then we go to the next one. Right. أفتطمعون أن يؤمنوا لكم وقد كان فريق منهم يسمعون كلام الله ثم يحرفون ثم يحرفونه من بعد ما أقلوه وهم يعلمون. Now, Allah had been talking about the Yahudis, right? Musa alayhi salam people, how in spite of all the miracles, all the amazing miracles Allah had shown them soon after getting Firaun and the crowd to be drowned while they were watching, and then coming, getting to the other side of the Red Sea, and then blessing with everything, and then showing even this dead man come alive and tell the truth and die again. All this, in spite of that, they kept on going back in that in their own ways. So Allah is asking here that Allah is asking Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all the people of that time, do you really believe that they will believe in you, believe in what you have said? Will they? And they have been, a part of them had been hearing the word of Allah, and then they will distort it. They will say something else. We did this earlier. How many things that they have been just making a mockery of it, or making their own words so that it will give a perverted meaning, or pretended to be as if they did not understand. With all that, they did that. After they believe, after they understood it, they went and changed these things. They knew that. And in spite of that, they did that. And in spite of that, are you expecting that they will believe in you? Allah says, these Yahudis, of course, in Yahudis, like earlier we did one verse, whether they are Yahudi or Nasara or Sabine, whatever it is, they will, if they do the right thing, then Allah will give them the proper reward. But all the Yahudis were not like that. There will be always some Yahudis who will follow what their ancestors have been doing. Just like that, they will be very ungrateful, and they will be totally forgetting all their promises that they gave to Allah and so on. And they were making mockery of quite a lot of things. And still, are you believing that they will believe like what you are saying, what you have done? Allah is asking that. So Allah is saying this again. Now we have done this same meaning earlier also. They say, وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قَالُوا آمَنَّا. Right? Those are the people, when they are with the people who believe, they will say, yeah, we also believe. وَإِذَا خَلَا بَعْضُهُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ. When they, some of them are with some of them, قالوا أتحدثونهم بما فتح الله عليكم ليحاجوكم به. They say, do you recount to them what Allah had revealed to you so that they may argue with you therewith before your Lord? That is, they are saying, don't tell the Muslims, the Mu'mins, what is in the Torah, what Allah had taught us, and what we have learned, and all. Don't tell them. If you say that, they will know that that is the same thing that Rasulullah is also this thing, and they will argue against us. So don't do that. So when they are with their own people, they wanted to hide the things. Don't you afala taqlin? Don't you understand? They will say amongst themselves, don't give way for the Muslims to understand what we know in our religion, so that they can argue with us about them. Better. I'm so sorry about that. That's very irritating. I know during the class, halfway through this course, and even my own thought trend goes somewhere else. But sometimes I can't help it. So the Yahudis had been known to do this, hiding the truth and then pretending they did not know and that they did not know about Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, all these things, which I have to recite in the prayers. You can listen to the recording later and then find that, inshallah, right? So these Allah is warning, saying they will not really believe in you because some of them, it's not all of them, right? Some of them, they will not even like the Yahudis talking to us about their own religion, because that will give us a lot of points to show to them. See, now what we are saying only your book also is saying. Why aren't you believing in that? So that is why they are saying, do you tell them what Allah had revealed to you so that they may argue with you in front of Allah? Don't you apply reason? Right? Right. But Allah says, أَوَلَا يَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا يُسِرُّونَ وَمَا يُعْلِنُونَ. Don't they know that Allah knows whatever they hide and whatever they disclose? Obviously, Allah is aware of it. I have spoken to you about this, but I would like to elaborate a little bit more. Some of the things in my lectures, you will find that I will be repeating them again and again and again. It's not that I have forgotten that I have told you all earlier, because some of these things, however many times you repeat, it's never superfluous, because these reminders are very important, not only for you all, even for us, for me, right? One of them is this. That is, don't you know? Here Allah said, don't they know? But it's for us also. Don't you know that Allah knows whatever you hide and whatever you disclose? There is nothing that you can hide from Allah. Everything is absolutely known to Allah. This is why we are calling taqwa in English God consciousness. being aware of Allah all the time. Allah knows exactly what is in our heart, what we are thinking, even before we speak about it, you let it out of your mouth. Allah already knows what is in your heart and what you have been hiding and doing, what you have been openly showing out. And even when you pretend to be good and showing as if you are a good person, Allah knows whether you genuinely mean that or not. So if once we recognize this fact that Allah is totally aware of everything that happens to me, by me, through me, or what I do, once you know that, then your whole attitude to life and to people will change. How you yourself work, how is your ibadah, how sincere are you? When you go and stand in prayer, maybe you are late a little and therefore you go and stand in prayer and then you just quickly finish the ritual because the time is running out. Or you have to go somewhere, you have to go shopping, or some visitors are coming, or you have to go and watch a show or something like that, whatever. You just quickly stand there and then do a quick ruku and sujood and ruku and sujood and ruku and sujood and then say salams and then go away. What use is that prayer? Nothing. That's because you are not aware all the time that Allah is watching you. And when you are praying, you are supposed to be actually speaking to Allah. That's your mi'raj. So if you remember, that's your mi'raj and you are actually standing in front of Allah. Of course, all the time we are standing in front of Allah. But specifically at this time, when you are Allah praying, that's supposed to be a very private session between you and Allah. But out of 5 prayers, how many prayers would you really sincerely do in such a way that you felt the presence of Allah and you felt that Allah is with you, Allah is watching you, you can see Allah. It's not the external eyes seeing Allah, but you practically see it in your, metaphorically in your mind. How many of it? These are the things that we should question ourselves, not to become depressed about it if you are not doing it. If you find that you are just doing everything like parrot-wise, just doing it for the sake of doing it and coming, but you never made that connection with Allah, then it's time for you to stop and ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? Why am I doing this? I should do it the right way. And therefore, I'm going to try to make it the right way. And therefore, you make up your mind, okay, now the next prayer, a particular prayer, whichever it is you want to start with, you say, I'm going to make sure that I do it absolutely right. So you prepare everything. Normally you just go and take the wudu, and while taking wudu, you're still thinking about something else, what to cook for dinner. Tomorrow somebody, I had to buy these things, and my child's class and all these things, and you're not thinking of anything. And then soon after your wife can come, you forgot to say Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Because if you just say the Shahada alone, as soon as you finish the wudu, for that, the reward, subhanallah, the reward is that you will be asked to enter the heaven through any doors. Such a simple thing, such a huge reward. But many of us miss out on it, though we know that. We have heard that, but we don't do that. Because we are always in a hurry to catch with this dunya, not with the akhirah. And then you come and stand and then, quickly finish because there are so many things to do. But if you really make up your mind, no, I'm going to do this properly, then you prepare your mind. You set your heart about saying, while you're taking wudu itself, you say Bismillah. And then while you're taking wudu, you are making up your mind saying, I'm doing this in order to stand in front of Allah and pray and purify myself. And then soon after you say that the Shahada, and then when you come and stand in front, stand for prayers, Make sure everything is clean and neat, and tell the family not to disturb you, nobody to come in there, nobody to be speaking on the phone while you are praying, or for that matter, anybody praying, not to make any more noise, not to bang the door. Make sure that everybody keeps quiet. Anytime anybody is praying, that should be the rule at home. Nobody prays, nobody talks loud, nobody talks on the phone, nobody puts the TV on loud, and you don't shout and things like that, because you give the respect to the prayers. And then before starting to pray, you make up your mind, I'm going to concentrate. I'm going to totally concentrate on my prayers. That means I'm concentrating on speaking to Allah. So when you start also Allahu Akbar, remember Allahu Akbar. Allah is the greatest, greater than anything else, anybody else. Nobody is greater than him. He is in charge of everybody. And when you say the Alhamdulillah, make sure that Ihdina Siratal Mustaqim, you specifically think about the Ihdina Siratal Mustaqim. Ya Allah, guide me in the right path. Most important dua. Right? Alhamdulillah, Surah itself is a dua. It's a supplication asking Allah to guide us the right path. Then also make sure that you choose the surahs or verses that you are going to recite. Right? There is, depending on situations, you can change. Right? Suppose you need a huge help from Allah. Of course, we are in need all the time, but you are in trouble and you need. So at that time, always choose Tawbah verses. You should know at least 5 or 6 Tawbah verses, or if you don't know even one, single one, right? Like even one, right? Then you recite that all the time. We have been taught from childhood, of course, they are great surahs, we are asking people, from people's kannuru, from anybody feeling jealous of me. And in these surahs, we ask protection from shunyam. We ask protection from the night as it comes on. All these things are there, but most of the time we just recite it characterized. We don't think about it. When you say Aqullah Brabin Falak min sharri ma khalaq, I love that verse. Min sharri ma khalaq means, ya Allah, protect from all the evil that you have created. All the good and the evil have been created by Allah only. So all the evils that are existent today, protect me from that. What more can you ask? So if when you are reciting that verse, if you can think about that meaning, you get so close to Allah, because you are actually asking Allah to protect you from everything that is around you. So obviously Allah can answer. Allah will answer, inshallah. Like that, choose your verses. The Tawbah verses, the thanking verses, or sometimes a particular situation that you feel in need of Allah. So the Allahumma inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. That dua when he had nothing. He had just run away from Firaun, and he had nobody with him, he had no help, and he did not know where to turn, what to do, nothing. He just said that, and then soon after that, Subhanallah, Allah gave him everything. Only with that one sentence. What did he say? Ya Allah, I'm in need of any good that you are going to give me. I'm absolutely fakir about it. That is, I'm totally dependent on it. I'm totally in need of it. I'm so poor without them. So I'm whatever that you are going to give. So after that, he was taken to this girl's father's place, and he was given a wife, he was given a job, he was given years of residence and food and everything a person can ever ask for. Allah gave you. And on top of that, Allah also gave him the nubuwwat, the prophethood. just that one sentence. Of course, we are not going to get it. Remember what that's over. The rest of the things is possible with that dua. So if you know the meaning of that dua and what happened to Musa alayhi salam soon after that, you will feel like asking that every single day. Like that, get used to some, even if you don't know the whole of the Quran. Some of the du'as, there is a book, a very common book saying 40 Rabbanas, right? Don't just read paraphrase from one end to the other. Sit and take time and go through. That is all the du'as in the Quran. All the Rabbana du'as in the Quran. Of course, there are more du'as other than this one, but they have taken only the Rabbana du'as and they have compiled only 40. There are more than 40 in the Quran, but they have just compiled 40. That's enough. You go through all those du'as one by one, and then mark things that feel very comfortable to you. And you feel like, oh, yeah, this is what I want now. And memorize that. That take time to memorize that because you want to recite it in your prayers. Because whatever you say in your prayers definitely has much more merit than otherwise. But of course, you can say that in other times also. So when you are going for ruku, sujud, lots of du'as are there. Think about the meaning and then see that you concentrate your mind on speaking to Allah at that time. Sami Allahu liman hamida. When you say that, Allah listens to those who praise Him. So just before that you said Subhan Rabbi Allah la Subhan Quddusum Rabbul Malaikati Warruh. All those are praise to Allah. Those should come from deep heart, in the depth, from the depth of your heart. And soon after getting up also, so you are saying Rabbana walakal hamd, hamdan kadiran tayyiban barakan fi. You're saying to you belongs all the praise, the lots and lots of praise, the pure praise, hamdan kadiran tayyiban, pure one. Mubarakan fihi. In it there is barakat in it, your praise. So when you say Sami Allahu liman hamida, before that and after that, we are praising Allah. So in your heart you'll be saying, Ya Allah, I am praising you and therefore accept my du'as. So it should be lively. In Tamil they say, உயிரோட்டமான தொழுகையாக இருக்கும். It won't come automatically. It is not something you can just decide, okay, I'm going to do this all the time. Like, of course, like Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam himself said, Shaitan will come and try to take your mind away from that. But you make up your mind, I'm trying to do this, I will try to do this to the best of my ability. Then only you realize that your prayer is a real conversation between you and Allah, right? Because Allah knows everything. Like in this verse, whatever you hide or whatever you disclose, Allah is aware of it. But it's your intention, your wanting to do the right thing are the things that really matter, inshallah. 5:30, right? I normally want to stop by in about half an hour's time. Just do one more sentence, right? Okay. وَمِنْهُمْ أُمِّيُّونَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا أَمَانِيَّ وَإِنْهُمْ إِلَّا يَعْلَمُونَ. Now, this is about, we are still talking about the Yahud, right? So Yahud, Allah says about them, some of them among them are illiterate who know nothing about the book except what they have been hearing, right? What other people have said. Except that they make assumptions, conjectures. They think, oh, it must be that, it must be this. Can you believe Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu said, this verse was said about the Yahudis. But imagine Ibn Abbas soon after Rasulullah's within the first 100 years, the best of the Qarn, that is best of the 100 years, during that time he is living, and he is saying about even people at that time saying this verse is agreeing with the Muslims today. So if it was agreeing with some of the Muslims that day, now how far we are from that generation, and how more it must be agreeing with us. Now look at it again. وَمِنْهُمْ أُمِّيُّونَ. Ummiyuna doesn't mean you are illiterate in the rest of the thing, but you're ummi about the Quran. How many of us, how many Muslims are totally ummi? Ummi means illiterate. They don't know what's in the Quran. There will be some people who will be reciting the Quran so beautifully because they are the tajweed and the Kirat is so wonderful. You will cry listening to that. But they don't know what they are reciting. They just learned the tune and they learned the rules and they are just reciting it. And how many people are there who have recited the Quran 101 times? They finish it and finish it and finish it. Of course, for that they will be getting reward, but that's just one letter will give them just 10 thawabs only. And most of us think, oh, 10 thawabs, it's a great thing, that's enough. No, if you understand the Quran, if you practice it, if you preach it, and if you memorize it, it will be just not 10, it will be millions. So much. But quite a lot of us are ummis. That is, we don't know about the Quran. What's in the Quran? If somebody says, do you know Quran says this? The other day, I was talking to somebody, and sometimes I get taken aback. You mean there are people like this today in the 21st century with the reawakening of Islam in Sri Lanka? Yeah, because I was talking about some people reciting the Maulud and Tale Fatiha and all, saying, a lot of shirk verses are there, better not recite there. They are not from the Quran. Somebody in the crowd said, but they are not in the Quran. So there are people who think they are from the Quran, right? The Tale Fatiha and the Maulud and all are in the Quran. So they have absolutely no idea. So I asked, haven't you recited the Quran? So that person said, yeah, I've recited, but they've always assumed, anything Arabic is from the Quran. I said, no, not at all. And don't you know, in Tale Fatiha, we are saying some things in Tamil. Mother Vidai the Mahale, Fatima, we are saying, you don't have periods, and we are saying about Fatima in Tamil. How could Rasulullah have recited it in Tamil? Then only it struck them. He said, oh yeah, no, true, no. Couldn't be, no, Rasulullah did not know Tamil, no. That sort of ummis are still with us, right? Don't look down upon them. Don't say, have this, I told you all once, don't have this religious or spiritual arrogance. Oh, I know, she doesn't know, he doesn't know. No, not that way. You pity them. Actually, you must say, how come that they don't know? Where did we fail? How come that we never conveyed it to them? That what's in the Quran and what's not in the Quran. We have totally failed. That's because we have been reciting the Quran and not really understanding the Quran at all. We have been learning to read the Quran and we never taught the meaning of the Quran. We never taught the meaning, we never taught Arabic language in the first place, and because of that, we have never never made an effort to understand the Quran. So, ummiyuna la ya'lamuna al-kitab. We don't know the book. We have the book. We are very proud of the book. If somebody, tears it and puts it down the toilet or something, our blood boils. But we don't know what is in that. Illa amani, right? Only what that person said, this person, that person said, and then they believe, okay, it is there. Then somebody else comes and says, no, that's not the meaning, that's not the correct, Oh, how come? No, do you know better than that? better than them. You know, how come you think you are better this one? Because they themselves haven't made the effort to read the Quran even once in your lifetime. If you have not read the whole Quran, stop and ask yourself, what would I tell Allah on the day of the Akhirah when I'm going to stand in front of Him all alone, absolutely alone? Nobody can help me, neither my father, mother, nor my husband, wife, or my children, or the best friend. Nobody can help me. And I have to answer when Allah asks, what did you do in the world for 70 years, 80 years, 90 years? And you did not even take the trouble to read the whole of the Quran even once, what would you say? Ask yourself. A lot of people feel quite proud. I know Islam, but have you read the Quran fully? 90% of the people still, I've been doing dawah for 30 years. From 1990, I've been doing. And still, it's very sad. Still, when I go to different, say, cities or villages or something, where I have gone 5, 6, 7 times earlier, and I go and ask, how many of you have read the whole of the Quran? Immediately about 5, 6 hands will go up. Okay, have you read the full, anybody who had read the whole of the Quran, put your hand up, and only 1 or 2 will read. All the others will slowly read. What had happened? Koncham koncham. They always say koncham koncham. Koncham koncham, that is little I have read, half I have read, quarter I have read. You know, I have read 3 verses, 3 surahs, 4 surahs. After that, I know. So, if you ask their age, and they'll say, okay, I'm 30, 40, 50, 70. And how many pages in the Quran? So 600. So to read 600 pages, you couldn't do it in 50 years, 50 into 365 days, you couldn't read it. No, you couldn't. Because we just believe that anybody says is in the Quran, that's enough. And then we feel very, very satisfied. I know Islam now. And we keep the same messages, same topics again and again, and you feel that is Islam. Whereas we don't even know the tip of Islam because we haven't read the whole of the Quran. They make their own assumptions, their own conjectures, and say, okay, that is Islam, this is Islam. And they make up their own minds, and they will even argue saying, no, that's not so, this is not so. So it's a long process to convince them. You cannot interpret a Quranic verse just like one word because one sentence you heard that. So ask yourself, have you read the whole of the Quran? If you don't, if you haven't, stop everything that you're doing. Right? Of course, whatever you have to do take a time management idea and then do everything quickly and start now, today, not tomorrow, today. Say from Alhamdulillah Surah to Nas, I will finish it. Read the translation at least once in your lifetime. Don't postpone it. Okay, let us not be the ones who are mentioned in this Quran. Right? May Allah protect us. Okay, we'll stop there. Any questions? Any comments? I wanted to actually go very fast so that you all will catch up with the Tamil Bayan, but then I thought there is no need, right? I mean, it doesn't matter whether you all are with him or not. More important is for you to learn the lessons from the Quran, inshallah. Okay? Okay, any questions? Any comments? Anything you all want to say?
Yes, assalamu alaikum, auntie.
Walaikum assalam.
Yes, now you said in Mahashar we will do so much good deed and a hand spam of distance to the Jannah and one word turn us down.
Yeah.
Now we don't know what is that word is. Now
Yeah.
doing tauba, can we
It,
remove ourselves from that?
yeah. What it means is
Yeah.
there are things you should say, you should not say in the Quran,
Yeah.
in Islam. It may be just, looking at your mother and saying, what the hell are you saying? You never even, thought like, okay, that's bad. Now, you're not even supposed to say oof to your mother or father. Right? Oof means, yeah, Rasulullah said in Arabic, oof is like, we say chi. It's not chi. That's because they don't know to write. They don't know to write. You say, என்னம்மா என்ன அப்படி சொன்னீங்க அந்த அந்த சொல்றதுதான் அந்த சீன்னு எழுதுறவங்க சீ அல்ல யார் உமாவை பார்த்து சீன்னு சொல்ற you don't say like that no chi po Allah that is there are some people but that's of course they know that they are definitely going to hell but uff is the least word that you can say for somebody to either to make them feel bad or hurt or something like that. If there was a lighter word, Allah would have used it according to Hadith. Rasulullah says that. Right? So now, how many of us would have said how many things to our parents? Right? I mean, they are the ones like, whenever we have temper tantrums, when something goes wrong in our life, when a friend gets angry with you, we take all our anger on our parents and we say a lot of things. And we never think, okay, these words can come between me and the heaven. Of course, if you have said that, Tawbah is available to you, but many of us don't even recognize the fact that we have said that, and that's so huge in the eyes of Allah. Right? It could be a thing like that. Or maybe somebody, a colleague of yours, right? You look down upon them and then said something like, oh, that's just she, that's all. I mean, oh, she. Right? I mean, that is something so derogatory meaning, really. So that's what it is meant. There is no particular word. There is no such specific. Of course, if there is a specific word, we all will grab at it and make sure we never say that. And if we have said that, we can ask Tawbah. It's not one word. It's things that you are not supposed to say in Islam. Right? So it could be a word, it could be a look, it could be a facial expression, it could be an action, it could be anything. But the way Rasulullah said it, a word will overtake them. One little word can overtake them and will put them into hell. This is the thing. Now, this is why probably Abu Bakr felt so scared, because what we are thinking as major sins are not necessarily the only major sins. What we are thinking so light, like Ibn Abbas used to say, in Rasulullah's time, when he was alive, when there was a small, tiny sin we did, we used to feel, my God, why did I do that? It's like a mountain falling on us. But nowadays, I'm still talking about Ibn Abbas's time. This is that time, first generation, right? As now, after Rasulullah's death, we are doing such a huge sin like a mountain, and we are like, at the fly, like that, just brushing it off. So he said that how bad we are, it could be, right? May Allah protect us. That is what is meant. Okay, so this is why, spend 3/4 of your life in Tawbah. Anytime, whether you are cooking or sweeping or washing clothes or standing for the bus or the three-wheeler or sitting in a doctor's car, this one, keep saying Tawbah. Right? That is something that will protect us on the day of the Akhirah. Ask all the time, inshallah. For the sins that we don't know, that the things since we would have done and we would have forgotten it. Yeah, the sins that we didn't know that they were sins. For that also we have to keep asking Tawbah. Because there are lots of sins that we don't know that it's a sin. Okay? Right. Any other question?
Yes, thank you, Auntie. So, Auntie, even now when our deeds are written,
Yeah.
even our thoughts are written.
As long as your thought does not come into action, you will not be punished for them.
But it is written.
Whether it's written or not is immaterial now. What is the punishment is that what really matters now. But we will be questioned. That's a greatest, one of the greatest blessing Allah had given us. As long as your thoughts does not come into action, Allah will not punish you. Right? But we should train our mind by and by and by. You should train your mind not to even think of evil things. For example, you start, you look at some person and you feel jealous. How come that she has everything and I don't have everything? I did this, but that. But with more knowledge, the only way you can get out of that rut is with knowledge. With more knowledge, you will realize what she has is what Allah had given to her. What I have is what Allah has given to me. And Allah is the best of the judge. And Allah says, I always give you the best. Every one of us, Allah gives us the best. And He knows best. Maybe what Allah has given to her, which looks like a blessing to me, maybe it's a trial, punishment. But don't assume it's a punishment. It may not be. It may be actually a blessing, right? So we should not go to that level of feeling solace, saying maybe it's punishment. In which case you are wishing it to be a punishment. We should always say, Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed her. How nice. It's Allah's blessing. And Allah has blessed me with these things. And there's no comparison. There's absolutely no comparison between Allah's blessings. What you have is best for you. What they have is the best for you. Always, but I'm saying that the realization is it could be a punishment. But in our eyes, it should be the blessings must be taken as blessings. We should always have positive thoughts, good thoughts, right? It's called husnul lan. Husnul lan. The alun word is there from that lan. Lan is thought. Your thoughts must be always good, right? In the beginning, if you haven't thought about it and had not rectified them, it will not be. But by and by and by, you can purify it by knowing Allah decided. Everything is Allah's decision. And Allah's decision, you don't question. You know it's good. You know it's just. You know it's the correct thing. And once you know that Allah does not have to make somebody else poor to make you rich.
Yes.
Right? So once you know that, by and by your heart will settle down to that level where you don't look at anybody with eyes of enmity, anger, or jealousy or hatred or anything. Because somebody else is also Allah's creation. And Allah is watching you all the time.
Yes.
Right? It's a self-purification. You zakki him, right? It's Allah words is zakki him. That is, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam came in order to teach us the Quran and the Hikmah and yuzakki, to purify us. The purification is knowing this and purifying our heart and thoughts and so on. Right? And continuously, it has to be a continuous process, purifying your thoughts. And the more you do that exercise, the more easy it becomes. Right? And you feel so comfortable with yourself, with your thought. You know that you should come to a stage where you feel you know you are good. But you can never be faultless. You can be very good today and you can just fall headlong totally wrong tomorrow. So on one side, you should raise your darajat in little by little by little, like in the, I am good, I know that I won't do anything wrong, I won't lie, cheat, or aspire to get somebody else's anything, and I will not harm anybody, I'll be just and all that. But all the time being aware, okay, that doesn't mean I'll always be like that. I can always fall down. And therefore, I have to be wary, I have to be careful, I have to watch my steps, I have to watch my thoughts, and I have to see that, you are all the time on guard, right? But that shouldn't be a burden. And that's what life is all about, because our whole life is about standing in front of Allah on the day of the Akhirah, right? And then if we are passing, then to meet Him personally, face to face in the heaven, right? When we know that that is our aim, our super goal, then the process becomes easier for us, inshallah. Okay.
Jazakallah khairan, auntie.
Okay. And no other questions? We stop there. Okay. Right. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. By the way, there was a suggestion which I did. I suggested long ago. I think Faila suggested that we have, now this is Quran. No, Quran covers everything, but the whole of the Quran to cover everything, we don't know. We may take about 10 years at the rate we are going. So this is a rate I like to go. I don't like to rush through just to finish the Quran, right? So I would like, in every verse, we have to get the maximum benefit. But on the other hand, there are some topics, has to be done also parallelly. We were thinking whether we should have once a month separate class, maybe on a Sunday morning or Saturday morning or something, because all the afternoons are full for me. Practically Monday to Sunday, I'm every day 4:30 to 6 I'm full. This Sunday I'm keeping, in case any class gets cancelled, it's repeated on Sunday afternoon. So there are no afternoons. Maybe in the morning we can have a class, whether we should have it on a Sunday morning. Nowadays, whether it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, it doesn't matter. Every day is the same day. Our husbands are at home and you are not going for work. Children are at home studying, there is no problem. So whether we should have it on a weekend, because the other days, the children will be having their classes in the morning. So the phone or the laptop may be needed there. Maybe Saturday, Sunday, they don't have classes, right? So whether we could have. Anyway, you all think about it and let me know in the group whether you all want to have a class. It is mainly the Tamil class which asks for a bayan like that. It may be something like Nasik Mansu, or a wife's role, a husband's role, money matters in a marriage, bringing up the children, or particular Quranic verses which we haven't come across yet. It's far away, like Ar-Rijalu Qawwamuna 'ala Nisa. What is the meaning and how are we supposed to take that? Or like we did last time, the inheritance laws, any of those general topics. Okay? Let me know if you all want to have it. Okay then. Right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.